mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad. Yes. Well, everyone. Well.
Hey, babe.
What do we have here with this finale? What do we have here with these things that I found out that happened after the show? Well.
That's what she always does to me whenever she's mad at me. She goes, well, like a cartoon from the 90s. She's just like, you know what I've always wanted to do? Just a side note, has nothing to do with, I've always wanted to, one of us has to do it.
Okay.
Where it's like the person gets home and they're in the dark and then they turn the light on. You know what I mean? Like how, like they do that in every movie, but that's never happened in real life. Where it's like,
or were
and
you?
they're like, interesting.
Where I'm sitting on
well.
I'm sitting on the couch in the darkness, and you flick the light on, and I'm just sitting there waiting for you, smoking a cigarette inside the house. You're just like,
it's
the
just
fire
like,
alarms are,
and we gotta get something to clean it because it's like a deep smell
the
that you can't get out.
stalactites are forming on the ceiling.
And also you in the dark, like
well.
Yeah, you in the dark too. Like you keep thinking I'm coming in, but then I get delayed for a minute because I'm on the phone. So then you just keep smoking. You're like on cigarette 9, and you're just like waiting for the theatrical moment.
Honest to God, if I was Ashley during this final bonfire, I would have walked in with a cigarette. Like would have been choked.
Just new personality. Who
walked in, sat down, and be like, no hug, and just lit a cigarette while Mark's talking. Never look at Grant once.
And he's just like, what?
And be like, I have nothing to say.
And he's like, this is a problem. I can't be with this.
Can I get a martini?
That would actually be really funny. Like walking down, spilling the martini in a cigarette with like the long one. It's just like the heels are like in the mud. Like all the like swag is gone. It's just like you're just covered in booze and you reek like cigs and you're just like, all right. Hey, well. Well, if I was Grant, I would say one of his pickup lines or one of his like kind of romance lines he dropped, which is super. Before I just say this happens in these shows sometimes where it's like they're pulling them out of some like encyclopedia they got, because he goes out of nowhere because he's not Mr. Smooth, like he doesn't have all the lines. Obviously he's getting with Natalie, but it's like out of nowhere he just goes, I'm falling and I wonder if this time I'll land. And it's like, what is that? And then Tyler did another one too, where Tyler's sitting there and he goes, Kay, you're like a light that's been hidden, a light that I've been looking for. And I'm just like, do these work? I mean, obviously they must.
Okay, first of all, when Grant said that about falling and let's see if I land, I believe he was saying this in ITMs.
Yeah.
I immediately wrote down, shut up and put it in a song. Like, just
I didn't even think about that. It was a lyric he was working on.
Not only was it a lyric he was working on, I believe he already had written it. By the way, side note, was researching afterwards, which family. Okay, so here's the deal today. So we're obviously talking about the Temptation Island finale, episodes 9 and 10. Mm-hmm. But then after watching the finale, I dug deep and did some research about what happened with the couples after. Yes. I told Evan intentionally not to look it up because I want to share the tea with him, because it is piping for some of these couples. And correct. I said, I want to shock you. I want your in the moment reaction. But one of the things that I ended up reading or coming across was that Ashley made a comment about how the song that Grant was playing when Natalie walked up was a song that he had, I believe, previously written for Ashley. So it wasn't even like a in the moment. And I think she might have even said, I could be wrong here, but I think she might have even said it was the song he wrote for her when he cheated on her the first time. I could be wrong. I could be misquoting, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. So it's like he's replaying the same cheating song that he like chased her down with. Natalie's like, oh, nice song.
That just blew my mind because I thought it was good enough to be like on the spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it was so bad.
I thought it was
it
like,
must be.
You know what? That kind of is like that kind of is like kind of got a thing to it if he's making this up as he's going.
Oh, that's high praise.
No,
that I did
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just more saying like we've seen worse.
We've
is
seen
more
worse.
what
Sure,
I'm getting
sure,
at.
we've
Like
seen worse.
Love Is Blind. We've seen worse.
Sure,
we've seen
sure,
insane
sure,
stuff.
sure.
So him kind of playing a song, making it up all on the spot. I'd be like, oh, okay.
You were like, yeah, the lyrics
guy
don't
can
really
carry
make
a tune.
sense,
The
but
lyrics-
whatever.
But again, the lyrics not really making sense.
Yeah.
That's very in the moment writing energy.
Yeah, no.
The fact that this was written has been played many times, and what that also says is that he's trying to kind of showcase it on the show.
Oh yeah, he wants to drop a single.
But I'm just saying the fact that he's like playing
he's
an
hoping
old song
he's hoping
of his,
this went well for him and that the people loved him.
this was like he kind of looked at the producers, grabbed the guitar, and was like,
And it was
"Follow
like, hey,
me."
here we go.
And they like set the shot up.
Yeah, like I said, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I gathered.
my
I was
God.
gathering a lot of information,
makes a lot more
and there
sense.
was a lot of twists and turns that happened after the show. Oh my
Okay.
God. Okay.
Wow.
But also that line that Tyler said to Kay,
Yeah.
that you mentioned,
Yeah.
it was
It was
Kay,
them sitting down.
He was like, Kay, you're
You're
a
a light.
light that's been hidden this whole time.
Right.
If I would have been Kay, I would have been like, screw you. What's that supposed to mean? Just because you discovered
it's
me.
worse. It's worse.
Just because you discovered me now, all of a sudden I'm found. Like, I've always been a light.
Well, and it said,
Sir?
when it said something like a light that's been waiting for me.
You're like, no.
It's like a very old book where like the woman is like on a cliff somewhere, like abandoned and alone, waiting for her
knight,
prince to
yes.
like come and rescue her.
It's serving
That's-
old fairy tale.
It's good. Like that's kind of what he was going for.
He's just like, you've just been this hidden light that no one knew about. And you were in your tower waiting for me for years and years, lonely, sad,
Dumb.
depressed.
Stupid. And now,
And now you're a light
You
because
wised up.
you met me.
and now you mean something because I'm in your life, as it should
Your
be.
life has purpose.
So let it be written. So let it be done. Second Opinions 6-8. Oh my gosh. I mean, I will say this show does.
It elicits
Well,
so many
it creates
emotions.
main character energy.
It
right?
does.
Because it's like even the premise that like you come onto the show and then there's the tempters and the temptresses,
Yes.
right? And then for the rest of the time, they're just supposed to be like your therapist, your brother,
Your
your sister,
lovers.
your best friend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like
true.
they're kind of like absolutely at your beck and call and service for the rest of the time. So it really creates this weird, even if you're like someone like Alexa,
Yeah.
right? Because like obviously the main character energy can be big with them, people who are like falling in love. But I
Right.
mean, even if you're just Alexa and you're like, hey, I'm not in love with anyone and I'm kind of waiting to get back
but
with
you're
Lino.
my new best friend. Come and
Yeah,
do an
you're my
overnight
new
date
friend.
with me.
You'll be dating
and
with
talk
me.
with me about my
I'll
boyfriend.
abscond this corner with you three people and talk about my boyfriend for the whole time. Like it really develops this like everyone
true.
is at my call
It's
whenever
very
I
true.
feel like I need something. So if you already are main character energy and have a huge ego and are self-obsessed, it rockets that shit.
Well, it's just like the conversation with Brianna and Amaya, where Brianne's like, "You're supposed to be here
You
talking with me." And
literally,
she's
I
like,
thought
it's
you
like,
signed
what,
the
what,
contract that says
what?
whatever I want, I get.
Yeah, whatever I want to talk about, you have to listen to it. It's like, no.
Exactly.
Oh, I mean, I'll be real with you. This specifically, the finale, it served. It delivered. It delivered.
really
And I
did.
don't mean that necessarily in the way that I was thrilled. I mean
Right.
in the way that I was pretty captivated.
Entertained.
And I was hanging on every moment of everything that everyone said.
Agreed.
So we need to talk about this. But first, family, let's take a quick pause. So I can't lie to you all because you're my family. Watching some parts of this finale made me nauseous. And speaking of nausea, we got to talk about our next sponsor because they have been a game changer for me and the fam. I'm talking about Relief Band, and I'm so happy to be sharing about it because I've been using Relief Band for years. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a very nauseous person, just in general. I've been struggling with it my whole life, and it's so frustrating because let's be real, it's awful. And to be honest, I just thought regular nausea would just always be an issue for me. And then numerous years ago, I discovered Relief Band, and not to be dramatic, but it legitimately changed my life. Relief Band is the original anti-nausea wristband that quickly relieves and effectively prevents nausea and vomiting associated with motion sickness, anxiety, migraines, hangovers, morning sickness, chemotherapy, and so much more. So Relief Band is legitimately a band that you wear on your wrist to give you relief from nausea, and you can actually change the intensity depending on how you're feeling to make it stronger or weaker. It's 100% drug-free, non-drowsy, works quickly quickly before or after symptoms start and has 0 side effects. It is amazing. Okay?
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's amazing.
When Jess first started using it and was raving about it, I was a little skeptical. And then a few years back when I was nauseous from a headache, I tried it and it helped with my nausea so much. It was
works
crazy.
so well.
And Relief Band isn't magic. It's actually science. Relief Band's technology was originally developed for hospitals before being sold to consumers. Relief Band is FDA approved, clinically proven, and recommended by doctors nationwide.
I actually used Relief Band yesterday. It's that time of the month for me, and I always struggle with nausea leading up to it. So I put my Relief Band on. I dialed up that intensity because I was feeling real yucky, and it helped me so much. It helped me so much. I am telling you, for years, Relief Band has been coming to my nausea rescue, and I am so grateful. Relief Band has sold over 1 million devices and is backed by thousands of 4-star and above reviews, making it a trusted choice for fast-acting, natural nausea relief. So, if you want to cure your nausea problem fast, join the hundreds of thousands of people who are nausea-free with Relief Band. Right now, we've got an exclusive offer just for your mom and dad listeners. If you go to reliefband.com and use promo code MOMDAD, you'll receive 20% off plus free shipping. So head to reliefband.com, reliefband.com, and use our promo code MOMDAD for 20% off plus free shipping. All right, family, let's just dive into this. Like I said before, we're going to go over episodes 9 and 10, the finale. And then after, I'm going to surprise Evan with the current happenings and what happened after the show wrapped.
Yes.
Okay? I would like to start with Grant and Ashley, per usual.
Of course.
So, family, we start off episode 9, and each of the contestants gets to pick one person to go on a overnight date with. Of course, Grant chooses Natalie, and Ashley ends up choosing...
Grant has already done 9 times?
Yeah, I don't think he's ever...
already had 9 overnight dates with her, so this is not special or new at all. He's actually probably getting tired of it. He's like, honestly, I'm over it already.
Knowing Grant, probably. he's like, I've had so many overnight dates with this woman already. But Ashley ends up choosing Danny, which I was really proud of her for, because when I heard overnight date, I thought, oh, maybe she's going to choose Logan, because I felt like there was a little more of a sexual draw.
At this time, that would have been wild.
It would have been wild, but I just wasn't 100% sure. So
Logan took it well.
Logan did take it well. I was proud of Ashley for choosing Danny because I believe that is the better choice in this situation. I was hoping she'd take
both of them.
That would have been absolute fire
and pull
flames.
the Brie on, you know what I mean?
That would have been absolute fire flames, but she chose Danny.
Yeah.
So on Grant and Natalie's date, I wanted to bring up a couple things.
Yeah.
Number one, while they're eating at one point, having some drinks and eating, he mentions that Natalie is so soft and nurturing, which I took personal offense to, because I think it's very intentional that he's going out of his way to mention that he says Natalie is nurturing and Ashley is not nurturing, which also too, I'm sure Natalie is. But how can you know that after like 2 weeks and you're talking about like interactions with Ashley and your child and you're just like saying someone is nurturing and you haven't even seen them? Whatever. It just really bothered me. It felt like a personal dart.
And it's also a very like being soft and nurturing. If that's something you're looking for, it's also very like great. You know what I mean? If that's
great.
But I will say it's also very like him saying that to Natalie is twofold to me. It's one, more about Ashley.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And then also, it's not really, like, he has never said anything about Natalie.
No.
You know what I mean? It's always been, I like how bubbly you are.
Yes.
I like how fun you are. I like how nurturing you are.
Yes.
But never like I like your personality. I like the things you talk about. I like your brain. It's always like, you're hot and you don't bug me. Exactly. Which is the energy he's always kind of complimented her for.
Yes.
It's like, you don't ride my ass and you're hot. Mm-hmm. But never like we have such great conversations. You know, you bring a side out of me that I didn't know.
I feel like I'm growing with you.
No, it's always just kind of like, I like it because it's just, I don't have to deal with some shit.
Yeah, 100%. Well, then they end up going later into the evening, and that's when Grant brings up, he looks at Natalie and he says, how do you feel about this being our final date?
Right. He floats it.
He floats
He's
it.
kind of like, where are
he
you at?
floats it. And she's like, I'm sad. I'm going to be really sad leaving this island and leaving you. Which I love that she said that. And then he goes, I am too. But you know, I have my final bonfire. So, and he just sewed for a long time. This man,
Waiting for her to kind of lead the
this
charge.
man will not be direct
Yes.
because he wants all of his options available. He is not willing to outright choose Ashley and say, you know what? I've made a bunch of mistakes, but I'm still going to really try to see if I can make it work with Ashley. He will not outright say, I want to make it work with Natalie. Natalie, would you be interested in leaving this island with me? And he also won't say, communicate, I think I want to leave alone
Right.
to Natalie. So he's just floating everything to see if
Putting
he
it on her.
can leverage, putting it on her, and also to see if he can leverage every option possible so that in the moment when he's sitting there, he can choose what's going to make him feel most powerful.
Yes.
I believe this wholeheartedly.
Yes, 100%.
Wholeheartedly.
Because deep down, and we see it later, we realize that he was waiting on Ashley's response.
Yes.
And still wanted to basically get back together with her.
I think
In
so.
my opinion.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of like, if I commit to Natalie, it'll screw my chances with Ashley.
Yep.
I miss Ashley. But I also won't accept what I did was wrong.
Yep.
So what I'll do is kind of leave it floating. If Ashley shuts me down, I always have Natalie, kind of thing. What he didn't account for is that Natalie isn't just like a pushover who's going to be just like, whatever you decide, I'll wait for you. She was kind of like, just so you know, like, I'm not just going to be like second choice, basically. So I loved how she didn't give
I
in.
was obsessed with the fact that Natalie was like, so what do we do now? He's just letting it float.
Right.
She's like, so
you have to make a decision.
What do we do now? And she said, I can't let myself go there with you. I can't until you close the doors with Ashley.
Right.
Which made me giggle because I went, what happened to him cutting it off? Hasn't he told this woman 12 times that he's going to cut it off? I'm so curious to know what she thinks is going down, what her process is when he's told her 5 times he's going to cut it off. And she's now having to sit with him in this moment and be like, well, until you close that door, I can't walk away with you.
And I love her energy because it's the same as when he did the like take the body shots, you know, and then try to make her jealous thing,
Yeah.
where she's just like, I'm not playing the games. So I like the
100%.
idea that she's kind of used him too a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, had fun.
Yeah, not in a negative way.
enjoyed
Like,
the
is enjoying her experience.
But not like falling super in love. Because you notice she's not like breaking down, sobbing, what's going to happen to us
No.
energy.
She's got him at an
She's
arm's
got the
length.
arm's
at
length.
least
She
in this
knows-
moment, she had him
Right.
at arm's
That's what it
length.
seems like, yeah.
That's at least what it was, the perception
the
of the
vibe.
audience. He says in the ITM, he says, tonight could absolutely make or break my decision. This will really tell me whether or not I should completely close the door on Ashley. And I'm like, sir, have you learned nothing in this process? You literally sat with Mark at the bonfire, last bonfire, where you broke down the idea that you had these expectations from your family and that you need the relief to end it with Ashley and that you've only stayed with Ashley because you feel this pressure. And Mark was like, relieve yourself. It's time for you guys to walk away. You're literally looking at Mark saying, the only reason I'm staying with Ashley is because I actually don't want to, but I feel the pressure. And in this ITM final overnight, he's like, this could really show me whether I want to get back together with Ashley or not. I'm like, what? Depending on how the sex goes tonight is going to show you if you should.
That's been his story the whole time, though.
It's
Every
wild.
time he said all this stuff when he's horny, then he has sex, then he goes, you know, I'm thinking about Ashley and I'm wondering if we could still make it. That's what he's done the whole time.
I
Whole
cannot, just the audacity to sit at bonfire and have these big revelatory moments and then say this type of stuff in the ITMs blows
And
my
had sex
mind.
every day.
And had sex every
So it's not even like the first time happened and then since then he's kind of
Yes.
been like, I'm trying to decide. It's like, I've been in a relationship.
Not that I'm by any means saying like, Breon did a great job, but I will say at least, I even feel weird saying that, but Breon had the threesome and then
It ended.
he never did anything after
Exactly.
that because
That's what
now
I mean. At
he's
least there's
worried
like
about
a, oh,
Shantae.
okay.
It's like Grant is like, I'm going to hook up every single night and still in the IT and then in Bonfire say, yeah, I don't even want to be with her. And then still in the ITMs be like, we'll see if I want to be with Ashley.
Exactly.
I'm like, who made you king?
Him.
Himself.
Him. Yeah.
He made himself king. Well, the next morning, we see the bra and panties everywhere. So we're assuming that they had a wild night together. And he's like, I'm not thinking. She's like, how are you feeling? How are you thinking? He's like, I'm not even thinking about Bonfire. I'm just thinking about how I'm going to miss you.
Right.
And again, he won't make it clear to her
Of course.
how he feels. He will not make it clear to her because he wants to play every single field. Every option needs to be available to him. Now, Ashley and Danny have their date. And I gotta say, Evan, you and I last episode, after their ghost pottery date, I was feeling like, I don't know if she's chemistry-wise drawn to him or if he's just like good friend energy. They were going for it.
They were going for it.
They
100%.
were macking in the pool.
The vibe was there. She said, I think I'm going to be tempted by him tonight. All that.
Hands were everywhere. Mouths were everywhere.
What is it? Something Tan everywhere, Jan everywhere?
From the office.
From the
Jan
office.
Everywhere, Jan everywhere.
I still though, because like at their final conversation at night,
Yes.
he was just saying to her, whatever you decide, I'm cool with. I'm here for you no matter what.
Yes. He said, I'd love to pursue what we have going on, and I'm willing to go as far with this as you're willing to let me.
So my thing is a little bit like, love it.
Yeah.
So kind, so sweet.
He's a doll.
He's a doll of a human being.
He's a doll.
He's been there the whole time. He fought for her against Logan. He's been amazing. I do think she likes a little edge.
Yeah.
And I think he doesn't have it. And I just, over time, I just see no world where like she likes edge.
I agree.
I mean, she likes guys who have, the bad boy energy,
Yeah.
good or bad. And maybe her journey is to find something in the middle. But I don't think she can swing the full
Like
other way.
a true good man.
A
who
true
maybe has
golden
like,
retriever, sweet guy.
who's got an edge to him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what she needs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she can go from like, I like bad boys who cheat on me to
Yeah.
like the opposite. I think she'll have to kind of land in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I'm
And
just not getting the electricity. I'm not getting the she's torn. I'm getting the like, when someone's just available at all hours for you at all times, certain people, it kind of loses a little bit of the excitement for them. And that's the vibe I get
feel
for
like
her.
I will say what I appreciated about her in this is I don't feel like she, even though we'll talk about what ended up happening at Bonfire, but I do feel like she was upfront with him and she was honest with him, especially this evening where she was like, hey, I really like you, but I don't know about what this really will look like on the outside. And I don't know if I'm ready yet.
Agree.
And
she did nothing wrong.
and I'd like to maybe consider like, chatting outside. She's like, if it's meant to be, it'll be, and we'll keep talking. But I'm kind of in a space where I feel like I need to be solo. So
She did nothing wrong at all.
I felt like she was very forthcoming with him, which I appreciated.
100% did nothing wrong at all. I'm just going off of just my instincts of
No.
vibe.
I completely agree with you.
That's it.
I completely agree with you. But I was just saying in that moment, I didn't feel like she was leading him on.
No,
I felt like
not
she
at
was
all. Zero.
pretty direct with him.
Super direct. And he was also aware of the whole thing. Yeah.
Yes. But I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't speculate because that's their own personal life. But they made it look like potentially they hooked up.
I agree.
Because they had clothes everywhere.
Yeah.
But he said he's there for whatever happens. But she was emotional the next day. The next day, she was crying. She was like, I don't want to say goodbye. She's really grateful for him. You could feel that she was really in a solid place where you're like, I knew she wasn't going to fall for Grant at the moment in that bonfire.
Oh,
I could feel it.
Well, let's get into the bonfire because it's like
talk
the way
bonfire.
they walked in was amazing. The difference of energy was because the whole
Everything.
time Ashley was kind of like, the one thing I like about Ashley a lot is how once Grant kind of like fully betrayed her and she cried it out,
Yes.
she turned the corner. When
She
she
turned the
walked
corner.
into that villa and said, I'm single now, she never looked back,
No.
which was pretty cool because also just like impressive, and I didn't see it coming because everyone else in the villa was still struggling. Like when Taylor was watching Tyler, it was always kind of a back and forth, but I miss him. And then obviously Shantae, and then, Alexa was, constantly going back and forth. But like once Ashley saw the betrayal, she goes, guys, I'm single. And then never really batted an eye since. Like she had her moments where she's like, he's a good guy or whatever, but she never said I might get back together with him. And when they walked into that that bonfire, you saw she wasn't shaky. She wasn't rattled. She was just like ready to go. And Grant was the opposite. He was shaking, freaking out. He said, I'm scared shitless to Mark. He walked in. He was breathing heavy. Like he was like, when you're totally in the wrong, you have nothing to say, but yet you are insecure. That is his face. That was his energy all the way.
No, when he walked in, and then when she walked in, and she wouldn't hug him,
and she just put the hand up. Amazing.
Was thrown.
That was the best way to start it too, because he kind of was trying to control it. And once she gave him the hand of like, "Don't even touch me," that's when he was rattled. It was
genuinely like watching like a boxing ring, and he gets clocked right away. Like he was off his game, and then not sure-footed for the rest of the time because I think he was convinced that she was going to walk in and embrace him and be mad, but also like she won't be able to resist my charms. Like she's obsessed with me.
I've done this before.
I
know how this goes.
Yep. Which, by the way, he's coming off of being in the car. Yeah. Where in the car he says, I won't apologize for being who I am.
He also says, I think she's expecting me to beg for her back. You know, so
I think she's expecting me to ask for forgiveness, apologize. And then I thought he was going to say, and I'm prepared to, because earlier the day before, he sat down with the men and had a moment where I was like, oh, okay, Grant, where he told all the guys, you know what, I know that I've been in the wrong. And I'm ready.
The first time.
He goes, I'm ready to go and apologize to Ashley. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? And then cut to 24 hours later, he's in the car and he's like, I know she's expecting me to apologize for everything, but I will not apologize about being who I am. And I'm like, okay, I mean, he's impossible to keep up with. Truly impossible to keep up with.
He doesn't even know how he's going to wake up the next day.
No. Now, these two, they end up getting into it.
I love it.
Their bonfire was a 10 out of 10, not in a healthy way, but in a way that was entertainment. And then I will share with you also what went down afterwards.
Love it.
Well.
As the light turns on and Grant walks in. That is us.
Exactly. Okay, but let's take another quick pause before we dive into that. So, family, I was grinding my teeth during this entire episode. But hey, what's new? I'm always grinding my teeth, which unfortunately has led to so many of my teeth issues, which you've all heard about over the years, and some wild headaches and jaw pain. Well, a little while back, the dentist told me that I needed to get a night guard, but when they quoted me a price, my jaw was on the floor. Ironic. My jaw was on the floor, which is why I was so thrilled to discover Remy's custom fit night guard. Both dentists and teeth grinders recommend Remy because a custom fit night guard is the best way to protect your teeth, and Remy is 80% less than the dentist and way easier. And family, we recently got our Remy night guards, and wow. We could not agree more with this.
Yes.
They're amazing. And 80% less than the dentist. I mean, wow.
It's huge. They're great.
Amazing.
And the price has me shook in all the best ways. Yes. Here's how it works. You receive your impression kit. It comes straight to your door. And in it, Remy gives you step-by-step instructions to get your perfect impression. I'm talking thorough, easy to understand instructions. And they make getting your impressions so simple. They actually provide 2 sets of everything in your kit in case you need to try again. You send it back to them, and then boom, Remy ships your custom fit night guard made in the US in Las Vegas. And by the way, Remy is so confident you'll get a perfect fit. They offer a 45-night perfect fit guarantee or your money back.
I'm obsessed. Now, every night, my Remy night guard is protecting my teeth against damage from grinding. I'm feeling relief in my jaw tension, and they're also so comfortable. They're like thin and lightweight. I genuinely don't even notice that they're on. And again, the price is mind-blowing. 80% less than the dentist. So, by the way, that way, if I lose them or if I want to get a refresh and not have to have the same mouth guard in my mouth for years every night, it's actually doable. No waiting rooms, no overpriced bills, just a better way to protect your teeth while you sleep. Try Remy risk-free at shopremy.com/momdad and use code MOMDAD to get up to 50% off your night guard at checkout. That's 50% off at shopremy.com REMI.com/momdad with code MOMDAD. That's shopremy.com/momdad with code MOMDAD. Thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode. Okay, so back to Grant and Ashley's final bonfire together. So the way that this works, which I love, is Mark says, okay, each person gets a chance to talk uninterrupted, and then you get to have a conversation, and then you state your decision if you want to leave together, alone, or with someone new. So he has Grant go first, which I was so happy about. I was worried that they were going to let Ashley go first, and I'm like, Grant's going to base everything off of Ashley's tone and decision, right? So I love that Grant was the one who had to go first in this scenario, and I think the producer set it up that way, which bravo. So Grant initially starts his soliloquy by being like, you're a woman worth chasing around the world, and I don't regret doing that, and I'd chase you again and again and again, but that's not our whole story. I realized that what I was chasing has become unattainable. I love you so much. And I hate that I was the one that had to hurt you, but I just want you to know that the connection that I made was real, not out of spite.
Yeah.
No apology, by the way, is happening in this. He's saying, I hate that I hurt you, but there's no apology in it. And then he comes out with the 1-2 where he's like, I realized during this process how disrespected and belittled I feel in our relationship. But I want you to know that I forgive you.
Oh my gosh.
And I forgive myself.
Dude, that's like telling someone when they're having a panic attack just to calm down. Like you know what I'm saying? Forgiving
Nothing's
someone
worse.
for your mistake is literally just, you can't get more, I hate you now.
It's worst case scenario.
Right? Or when someone's feeling a lot of anxiety, you go, you're crazy.
You're
it's
just
like whatever the worst thing you could say to someone is is saying, I forgive you for making me cheat.
Yes.
Obviously we know words for that, but it's like there's something, it's almost comical where you're like, what world has this ever worked for you?
He's like a damn cartoon character.
It's a cartoon character. Yeah.
Even everything about him, his like vibe, everything. He's like a cartoon character.
He literally looks like a cartoon character.
It's like Roger and Doug or something.
Oh,
Roger the bully.
Yeah. The same hair. Yeah. No, it's really interesting. The like him thinking that she's gonna be like, thank you for forgiving me for cheating on me.
Oh my God.
Because I made you cheat on me because I gave you a hard time about cheating on me the first time. Like that's what he's saying.
Yes.
I cheated on you the first time. You've given me a bunch of shit about it.
Yeah.
So then you made me cheat on you again.
Yeah, you made me feel...
I forgive you for that.
You made me feel disrespected because after I cheated on you within the first month of our relationship, you made me feel belittled and bad about cheating on you. So I forgive you.
So then I cheated on you again and I forgive you for both of those. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's like the delusion is top level.
And then it's Ashley's turn, and damn, I lived for Ashley's response. She was like, we came here to prove I could trust you, and after 2 days,
2 days,
you're telling multiple girls that it's not going to work between you and I, and then you're railing some girl in the bathroom. By the way, when she said you're railing some girl in the bathroom, they shoot to him. He's shaking his head no.
I didn't like do that good.
He's like, we didn't railing.
It was more calm and relaxed.
And then she says this, and I loved it. She says, I don't know what you're forgiving me for because my actions were a reaction to your behavior.
Yes.
What are you forgiving me for?
About?
You're a serial cheater. You've cheated in every relationship you've ever been in. I've caught you in your own lies. I knew you'd do this. I cannot believe I held on to someone like you for that long.
And I loved that she said, I experienced extreme relief when I saw the video.
It was like, I knew it.
Like, not only are you out of here, but you also didn't crush me when I saw the video. I actually got relief because it was like, finally, I kind of had just proof of the guy you are.
Yes.
Because we know how obsessed he is about being a good guy.
Well, and so when they have the group, the back and forth, when they have then their conversation together, she starts by saying like, I knew within 2 days that you and I, that we're not it. Right. We're not it. And he's like, same. Yeah,
he's trying to go, girl. I quit before you could fire me.
He's like,
you know
same,
what I mean?
We're on the same page. And she goes, Your actions weren't matching up because right after you hook up with Natalie, you say in confessionals that you love me and you want to marry me. And I laughed so hard where he's like, it's been an emotional roller coaster for me,
He's like,
man.
"Come on."
There's been so many ups
Once
and
he
downs.
realized like he wasn't getting back with her almost, it was like that's when he was doing like, yeah, we do not work.
And he's like, you're never going to let go of the resentment that you have
Yeah.
for me. You're never going to let go. And you pre-decided that I was going to fuck this up. So really, it's on you because this is a trap, man.
I do
this
love
was
that.
a trap. That
I
was
love
what he
the
was
logic because
serving.
Tyler kind of had a similar logic where
Yes,
it's like
he
that,
did.
where it's like that. You force me to do all this bad stuff
You forced
because
my hand.
you think you know me, and it's like, how about you prove? How about has the concept of proving these women wrong ever entered into their brains? Right,
What do you mean?
like. They're saying,
Oh, prove
you're
it.
this guy.
Yes.
And you go, no, I'm not. And then you do exactly what
Yeah.
they say you're going to do.
Show
and
them
then
you're
you're
not.
pissed they were right. It's like, how about just prove them wrong?
Yeah.
And then you have a leg to stand on.
Sure,
Then
show
you, like,
them.
prove them wrong and then go, why do you make these assumptions about me? Super shitty. And at least then you'll have an argument. But to prove them right every time and then go, you don't know me is a insane
And then again,
version of
the
this.
audacity when he says, every action I've made, I've been thinking about what
Yes.
you would think. All I've cared about is your feelings, not mine. And she's like, so you were thinking about my feelings when you hooked up in the shower with that girl?
Well, not that exact moment,
goes, "No,
but
not
like
then."
right after and right before. So different. And he's like, I'm always thinking about you.
I'm always thinking about
And
you.
it's like, hey, Grant, just a little FYI, being guilty
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you're thinking about someone,
Mm.
right? Like being like, oh, damn, I feel gross about the fact that I'm a bad guy and I cheat all the time doesn't mean you're thinking about Ashley. It means you're thinking about yourself and how you did something wrong. Like being consumed with guilt and realizing you fucked up isn't the same as saying I put that person first. It just means, I guess you're so used to not thinking about anyone else that when you think about someone else, even in the wrong way, you're going, I'm putting their feelings first.
Wow, that's very true. Yeah. Well, he wraps up their group or their conversation by all of a sudden at the very end trying to say all these nice things. You know, and she had a moment too where she's like, you're right. I have said mean things
Right.
to you and I've become a dark version of myself because of really what I've gone through because of you. And, you know, I'm sorry that I maybe said those things, but now
Yes.
I feel in this process like I'm myself again. I feel
Yes.
relief. And then all of a sudden he's scrambling, being like, the woman you are, the
Yes.
woman you are. I love you. You're
Yes.
incredible. He's trying to wrap
He's
this up with
scraping
a
it
bow.
together
He's
now.
scraping it together. And then they come to the decision point. And again, they make Grant go first, which I was so happy about because Grant says, I want to go home alone.
Yeah.
Now, make no mistake. This was a game.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Make no mistake. This man said, I want to go home alone because his ego's too big to say, I want to go home with Ashley and have her reject him.
Oh, yeah, you
because
can't do
he
that.
obviously felt
He
the
knows
vibe.
that he knows she won't go home with him right now.
Yes.
But he goes, I'm going to go home alone, and this will win me points in this game here.
Exactly, because
where
if
I'm so humble, I'm so not selfish that I'm willing to give up my connection with Natalie to go home alone and reflect.
Right.
And the only reason why we know this is proven 1,000% is due to his reaction to then her decision.
Of course. And if he chooses to go home with Natalie, he's like, well, then I close the door on me and Ashley.
Exactly.
So he's trying to leave the door open again, the
Yes,
exact same
double
way that he was
door.
doing that when he was having the conversation with Natalie. He wants the doors open so that he can have every option under the
Correct.
sun, but he's not willing to then let his ego take a hit and say, I actually want to try to go home with Ashley, and then know that she'll reject him because he's getting all of her energy.
Correct.
And you're right. This was obvious in his reaction because when Mark then says, Ashley, what's your decision? And she says, I'm going to leave the island with a new connection I made. He
Puts his head in his hands.
viscerally like crumbles.
Yeah, because he goes, I thought maybe I could get her. If we could both go home alone, I could hit her up. We could maybe have a bunch of
Yes.
conversations. I could win her back. But now I
He
know she's done.
viscerally folds
Yes.
and is like, you know, quote unquote crying, pops up, no tears.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
throw that out
He
there.
wasn't that good of an actor.
But it was a power move.
Yes.
On Ashley's part, I stood up and I was like, shit, oh
was
my
so
God.
good.
It was such a power move. Now, also, make no mistake, this was also a game. Just as Grant's was a game, Ashley gamed him right back.
You know what's
And
also-
my pettiness lived, though I felt concern for Danny. And I hope that he wasn't being used as a pawn in this game. I lived that Ashley had her moment of like double middle finger. Like, I know it's going to break Grant right now and I'm going to do it. And I lived, but then I'm a little worried about Danny.
Right. But I also love that the producers, they always very strategically, because it's a massive thing, who goes first.
Of course.
Right. So I love that the producers always choose the perfect person to be like,
Of course.
ask them who's going to go home. Because if Grant would have gone second, he definitely would have called Natalie and been like, oh, and they both would have gone
No
home with someone.
questions asked.
So the fact that they always kind of give the right person the second choice is perfect because it's the ultimate like entertainment.
It's absolute perfection. And this, this was wild. It was wild. So Grant ends up leaving. Now, in his car ride home, he has this like swan song exit.
He's doing the
right?
classic look out the window in the rain energy.
So sad.
Yeah.
And he's like, Natalie has all these things that I want, but I need to figure out how to be alone for a little bit.
Love it.
And that's
We all
the
know
line
that's not true.
he uses. I want to figure out how to be alone for a little bit.
So now let's move into the
Now,
post
family,
show.
here's the fun post show part. And I'm going to say this before I even dive into it. There was so much drama and so many stories and things floating around that it's highly likely that I'm missing something.
Okay.
Because I think there's more than even what I'm going to say. So just as a heads
Well,
up,
give us a quick
do
little
your
bop,
own
bop, bop, bop,
research.
bop.
But what I'll tell you is this. Directly
Yes.
from getting into the car,
Yeah.
Grant drove to Natalie
Yep.
and they stayed on the island for a few days. So Mr.
0% shocker.
So Mr.
And I'm sure he told her, I shut her down and chose you.
So Mr. I want to be alone
Yeah.
with his dramatic exit drove straight into Natalie's arms.
Least shocking thing on planet Earth.
Drove
Could have told you that myself.
Straight into Natalie's arms. Now, Ashley decides to leave with Danny. Okay? She leaves with Danny. I guess they're seeing each other for a couple weeks. It fizzles out. From what I know, they're still good. They have only love and good feelings for each other. But she was like, he's young. I don't know. It just didn't work out. There doesn't seem to be any hard feelings, only love between the two of them. But it didn't work out. Now, apparently, Grant asks Natalie to be his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So they're together for about a month after the show. One day, Natalie just has this weird feeling because she said Grant texts her all the time. And all of a sudden he goes dark. And she's like, I know he saw Ashley. I know it. Grant comes back to see Natalie and she's like, did you see Ashley? He says, yes. She goes, did you kiss her? He says, yes.
Oh, man.
Evan, Grant cheated on Ashley with Natalie. And then a month later, cheated
On Natalie.
with Ashley on Natalie.
Yes.
Okay? So, this is where it gets real messy. Is that Ashley's saying that apparently she had no idea that
He was with
Grant
Natalie.
was seeing Natalie because she says that Grant was hitting her up like crazy
Sure,
after
of
the
course,
show.
of course.
She says, in fact, he showed up at her house and was just like, take me back, take me back.
100%.
Grant says that Ashley was the one who was like
That's bull.
begging, pounding down
We
his
know
door.
that's not
Of
the case.
course, I
Yeah.
don't believe a word that comes out of this man is a liar.
Show the ring cameras.
He is a liar.
Ashley,
Okay.
I'm sure you have a ring cam. Let's see the evidence.
So from what I'm aware of, this went back and forth for a while.
Right.
Like there was like, hey, I think there might have even been a moment where Natalie was like, maybe, and then he hooked up with Ashley again, whatever. So Ashley now and Natalie connect. They're buddies.
Sure. They're like
They're
commiserating.
good. Ashley's like, I didn't know. I'm so sorry, But at the same time, it seems to be lingering with Ashley because even though she's like, Grant
Right.
sucks, there's still
Yeah, it's
there's still a communication.
kryptonite.
So somewhat recently, Grant goes on IG and is like, I'm going to drop the receipts all over Ashley. She doesn't know what's coming. I'm going to show you. And his big thing that he dropped ended up being that Ashley said that she contacted him like a month after, and it was 3 weeks. But she's like, but this is, by the way, after he had been contacting her.
Sure.
Okay. So this is his big thing. So then what Ashley and Natalie do is they go on, I think, a TikTok live together.
Oh boy.
Together.
To destroy.
Grant gets in the comments and is like, let me on. He starts his own TikTok live thrashing them. And then his TikTok live gets taken down because people are reporting him. And then he FaceTimes Ashley while the two of them are going back, and Ashley and Natalie are commiserating. And Grant is like, and it's on TikTok live, going off, like yelling at her, crazed. He's like, Ashley, you're making this sound like it was all on me. And Ashley's like, no, I've been fully open the fact that I care about you and I love you and I've gone back and forth with you. I reached out to the mother of your child to check in on you because I was worried. And he's just like, you're making it sound like it's all me. It's like, no, everyone knows that I've been reaching out to you, but you're taking no accountability for the fact that you cheated on me.
You quadruple cheated.
You quadruple cheated.
Yeah.
This man might go down as one of the most villainous villains that we've seen on reality TV in a long time.
Well, talk about no impulse control. I mean, my God.
I mean, well, like Ashley said, you're a serial cheater and you've cheated with every person. And he proved that again once he started dating Natalie, cheated then with Ashley.
Impulse control and just pure disrespect for everyone involved.
Unbelievable.
I do what I want with no regard for anyone's feelings.
Unbelievable.
Even if Ashley was reaching out to you, like begging to get back, have a conversation with Natalie, be like, hey, to be honest with you, like there's so many ways to play this thing.
Natalie,
but to just cheat back and forth every time is the most
Natalie
insane.
was getting interviewed on the Vial Files, and I think on it she said, well, I was surprised that Grant was actually honest about the fact that he kissed Ashley.
Right.
So we're giving him that's how bad it is, that it's like we're giving Grant props for when she corners him and says, did you kiss? He's like, yeah. And
we've all had friends too, like where like they're in bad relationships where like you're looking at you're talking to them and they have this partner that's like treating them really bad, and they're like, but like he did get me chips the other day. And you're like, yeah.
So to that I say, well, because what did we say from episode 1? And yes, obviously it was clear that this guy was that way, but within the first 5 minutes, I looked at you and I said, this is a guy in the bars in Los Angeles. Yes. And the fact that he played these games, cheated, and then kept cheating, and then is now being like, I'm going to drop the receipts, and they are ridiculous. Yes. No accountability.
He's been promoted. He's been promoted to the dean.
The dean of Gaslight
Academy. This was a big move for him. I mean, how else do you get up the ladder at Gaslight Academy? You have to do big moves.
You have to make big moves.
So if you're looking to climb the ladder at Gaslight Academy, I would hit up Grant because he's currently the dean. And he's looking to make a move as the principal very soon.
It's very true. Now, and I just want to send, love and regards to Ashley. Girl,
Stay away. And then poor Danny. I mean, is Danny just like sleeping on a futon in the backyard at this point at Ashley's house? Like, what happened to poor Dan?
Well, like I said, they fizzled out after 2 weeks. I'm sure Danny's doing fine. He's a very handsome, charming guy. But Ashley, girl, stay away.
Dude, know thyself.
Stay away. And Natalie, shout out to you. Sorry you guys are you ladies having to go through so much. Like, stay away from this man, okay? The villain of all villains.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So
next.
let's move on. But first, we're going to take one more quick pause before we engage in our next couple. Now, speaking of being engaged, now that Lino and Alexa are engaged and free from the island, I'm sure they'll be happy to get back to real life, which looks like not being in the villa and actually making your own meals. But for us personally, this time of year is busy season. Everybody in the house has something going on, which means finding the time to cook something healthy is challenging to say the least. And that's on top of my already kitchen struggles. That's why we use Hungry Root, and my goodness, are we grateful for it. I swear, Hungry Root is like having your own personal nutritionist at home. We are talking high quality, nutritious food, and they take the stress out of meal planning each week, which is huge. They do this by recommending delicious recipes tailored to your taste, preferences, and health focuses. And this goes for a variety of lifestyles and focuses like gut-friendly, gluten-free, dairy-free, high protein. For me personally, for specific health reasons, I've needed to really hone in on anti-inflammatory foods, and that felt really overwhelming because I didn't really know where to start. Well, thanks to Hungry Root, they've been able to easily provide that for me. I am so thankful.
Yeah, they really do have it streamlined and make it so simple for their customers. Just tell them about your focuses and preferences, and they fill your cart with personalized recommendations that actually get smarter as they learn about what you liked and didn't like. There's no high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, or preservatives in any of Hungry Root's food, and they only secure top quality meat and seafood free of hormones and antibiotics.
And by the way, most of Hungry Root's recipes can be made in just 15 minutes or less, and with over 15,000 recipes shipped each week, there's something for every taste and nutrition preference. We had their eggplant chickpea ball hummus bowl last night, and wow, was it
so
lush.
Good.
It was absolutely lush. Their meals really are delicious. We also get groceries from Hungry Root too, which I love doing. They provide us with so many great meals and healthy snacks that Ember always has for school. They're just the best. I love Hungry Root. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/momdad and use code MOMDAD. That's hungryroot.com/momdad, code MOMDAD to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/momdad, code MOMDAD. Okay, let's talk Tyler and Taylor next, because specifically I want to talk as well about what happened after.
Yes, okay.
What happened after? Okay, so obviously Tyler chooses to go on the date with Kay,
Yeah.
and Taylor chooses to go on the date with Yaman.
Yes.
And Tyler and Kay's date just seems like it was serving the same thing as Grant and Natalie's.
Yeah.
It's like Tyler and Kay have been attached at the hip from the very, very beginning. Kay seemed extremely invested. Tyler was like, you know, all over her, all lovey-dovey, but at the same time in his ITMs and even conversationally with her was not giving her any direct answers.
Yes.
He was avoiding that. And even there were some moments where at one point Kay says to him, she's like, oh, I'm going to miss you tomorrow. I'm going to miss you tomorrow. And he's like, well, you know, I'm not in control of that. Like kind of pushing it aside.
Just not wanting to commit.
He won't
Even
commit.
though he's love bombed her the entire time.
Completely.
You know what I mean? Like even
It's
more.
been like, this is my woman.
He's been so lovey-dovey with her.
He's so lovey-dovey
You know what I mean?
with her.
It's not been like Grant has love bombed Natalie big time, but at least has shown moments where he's been like, I don't know, and we should slow it down, and then gotten back together. He's at least shown glimpses of like where Tyler really has said multiple times, my previous relationship.
Yes.
He said things
He's
like,
always referring
you're
to
the
it as in the
person I need
past.
now. Like, and then all this, you know what I mean? So he's, and they're even like the sexual piece, like the actual penetration piece has not been like as much of a thing as like Grant. The way he's been with Taylor, the way he's been with Kay,
Yeah.
has been very like they're in a full blown relationship.
this is- it's my
making out, it's
girlfriend.
cuddling, it's telling how much someone means to you. It's like the way they are is like it's a done deal.
And they've been like that since day one.
Since day one.
But again, won't directly say to
Right.
her what he's thinking, is communicating in the ITMs that he, you know, is leaving this process open to, you know, going with the flow and how he feels. But again, I believe that it's because these men want to leave their options open so that they're able to protect their ego and also serve what they think the audience will like and make them seem less villainous. Right?
Agreed.
On the other side, Taylor and Yemen are having their date.
Yes.
They're very cute.
Yeah,
Lots
very
of
cute.
making out, holding on each other. But one particular moment that stood out to me, and I actually mentioned this to you earlier, was Taylor and Yemen were laying on the bed together, and Yemen looks at her and he says, "Something I love about you is how soft and feminine you are." And you kind of see her face seem surprised.
Yeah.
Because what she's experienced in her relationship with Tyler is very much the opposite, where Tyler's like, "You've got to stick up your ass. You're riding me. You're too hyper organized. You know,
Yeah.
you're too intense, da da da." And Yemen looks at her and Yemen's like, "You're so soft
Yeah.
and you're so feminine." And it was just a really incredible picture to me of when you're with someone, how that energy can change depending on the person that you're with, because someone like Yemen allows her to step into that space
Yes.
because she feels safe. She's able to step into a softness and be herself, who is like this organized, smart, strategic person. But because she feels safe, she's also subconsciously showing Yemen this softness. And that's what he sees from her. And I think it's a really good example of like, when you're in a relationship and you feel like you're not able to ever attain that balance of being able to be in that both like masculine and feminine space, when you're always having to be in one specific space, it's probably because the person you're with is pushing you to not feel safe to be in both spaces.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And I feel like,
and I'm not talking about gender roles. I'm just talking about
yeah.
that like masculine, feminine energy that's inside all of us,
and
right?
it's interesting too, because like, if we can just talk about the bonfire too, kind of at the same time, because I feel like it plays a lot into it. It's like when they get to the bonfire, you know, Tyler's main thing is like, you always assume I'm gonna fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of ride me. You make me feel emasculated about my job situation.
Yeah.
You make me feel insecure, blah, blah, blah. And she is then reacting in a way of like, well, yeah, because you haven't had a job in a year. Well, yeah, because you do prove me right every time, blah, blah, blah. And it's really interesting because to your point about the like moving into different energies, when she's with Yemen, she's moving into the softer element. She feels safe. She feels secure. She feels he's strong. She doesn't have to kind of carry the weight of all of that and her needs. And Yemen's meeting her there to where she can kind of relax. But it's interesting how even just at the bonfire, in that quick conversation they had, she snapped back into that kind of energy with Tyler, because Tyler is making her feel like she has to be in control. She's not safe. She has to call out the bullshit. And so he's going, "See, look how you are. You assumed I was going to fuck up." And she goes, "Yeah, and you did." And he's like, "Yeah." So it's really interesting how she needs someone who's going to make her feel secure.
Of course.
And Tyler didn't. And it's a real like testament, I feel, to knowing yourself and being realistic about what you need in someone else, and how you can be someone with someone and that's not who you are. It's what they bring out of you too. So there's parts of you that like that's who you are. Like she's probably an intense person. She probably works super hard. She's probably super organized.
Yeah, you
right?
hear it's like she owns her house. She
Exactly.
works super hard. Yeah.
And so his instability makes her feel out of control. But also when she's around someone who also is stable, she can kind of relax into that.
Of course.
It was interesting to kind of watch her be this soft thing with Yemen during the day, and then at night get back with Tyler and talking with him, and then snap back into her ways.
Well, you just saw how unhealthy the two of them are together, and how Tyler's not the right person for her, because you saw Taylor at the very, very beginning of this season when she was with Taylor, or when Taylor was with Tyler. The first episode, she was giving off an energy of like stress
Yes.
and agitation.
On edge.
And then as soon as they were separated,
She calmed.
she was such
Chill.
a fun time. She was there for all the women. She was processing her own growth internally and all these things. And then the second she gets back with Tyler,
like old
he's
days.
such a trigger because of how he makes her feel, that she had that moment for all the sudden where she was stressed and on edge again, just being in his presence. And so I'm so happy for her that she was able to then walk away
Yeah.
from that, because it's like, oh my gosh, you can now really just talk about relief, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like them more than anyone was a good example of this, because yes, did he do the wrong thing? Yes. Did he cheat? Did he do all this? Yes. But I do feel if none of that even happened and he was a great guy, they're still a bad fit.
They're still a bad
You know what I'm
fit.
saying?
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
you could
I
make an
agree.
argument that like if Grant wasn't the serial cheater, do him and Ashley just personality match. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
you know,
maybe.
Shantae and Brianna, it's like if he doesn't do all the kind of betrayal stuff, is there a world where they just actually work together
Yeah,
personality-wise?
maybe.
Maybe. You know, Lino and Alexa, it's like, but just down to the basics.
Tyler and Taylor.
I'm
are-
really happy that actually Tyler did do the wrong thing, because I think it freed her from feeling like maybe a failure in the relationship.
Well,
It was like
and-
gave her clarity to realize like almost him exploding it allowed her to kind of realize what she
and
needed
that
in
it
life.
made me really emotional when she was talking about how the idea that they came here because he pushed them to come here and it was for him to prove
Right.
himself, and that it actually ended up being a gift for her.
100%.
Because it showed her what she needed to see and gave her the agency to be like, no, I'm walking away, and she's going to be so much better for it.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad when she left alone,
Me too.
because I go, you know what? You can always call Yemen,
Yeah.
and Yemen would understand this.
Yes. Well, and they talked about it too.
Right.
You know,
Versus-
clearly they had a thing and he really liked her, but she was
Right.
communicative with him about the fact that it's like, I think it's like, I need to do this for me.
Exactly.
Like for me, I need to
Which is
walk
the growth.
away alone.
Which is the
Huge
growth. Because him leaving with Kay proved her point. Oh, you know, you're just going to snap back into what you
Yes.
just did. So I just felt like it was really good for her overall. I feel like out of everyone in the entire villa and the whole thing, she's the one that gained the most, because she kind of stood on her own 2 feet. She didn't use Yemen as like padding.
Yeah,
she
rebound,
She
yeah.
just said, I'm going to do the hardest thing here.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk away, realize what I need, and I'm going to do it alone, so that I can call Yemen later maybe, and then be like, this is because I want it, not because I need it, not because I need a rebound or whatever.
I fully agree. Okay, let's talk about a little more details with the bonfire. So she loved to, by the way, he's like, can I have a hug? And she just shakes her head no, but she had this big smile on her face.
That would have fucked me up
and
way
I
worse.
loved that. I love
It
that she just was like, no.
It made me, if I was him, it made me like love her more, because I was like, you have this incredible smile you're giving me, and you're not engaging with me. There wasn't like an anger. It was like
No.
I'm just so free of you.
I'm released. And so she reads him a letter and she's just like, hey, we came to the island for you to prove that I could trust you. And, you know,
Yeah.
obviously that's not the case.
yeah.
And all I was thinking about is I'm like, oh, he hates this letter because his big thing is like, you don't respect me, da da da. And this letter felt like a presidential address.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is going to set him off. And you saw it. The way that he immediately said, I wish I prepared a note also. And you're like, ooh, there's the edge.
Mm-hmm.
There's the edge. And, you know, he basically was saying that he came here because he was supposed to prove himself, but through the bonfires he heard that it was and saw that it was very telling how she viewed him and how he was portrayed to other people,
Yes.
which is his big thing. We've said from the very beginning, he gives us son of the president vibes, son of the huge CEO vibes, riding around on a yacht. This guy cares about appearances.
Yes.
So that really, really bothers him, how you portrayed me to other people. And this was unbelievable when he said, yes, I was tempted in this process, but mainly I was tempted to pursue my value. A lot of new ideas, growth, a lot of humility. I wrote that down. I go, what a way to tell somebody that you were cheating on them. You're like, yes, I was tempted, but I was also tempted to see my value. I'm like, oh, talk about gaslighting.
Yeah, I mean it's
that's wild.
I mean that's Grant playbook 101.
I mean, but sharper. That's the thing with Tyler
Tyler's
that
way better at it.
puts me on edge is that Grant is the Gaslight Academy, but is bumbling. He's chaos.
Right.
He's
He
chaotic.
exposes his hand a lot better.
Tyler is like sharp and dialed
really
in.
good at it. He
Yeah.
like to where like there'll be moments where I'll be like, does he have a point there? You know, like you just
No,
kind of
for
like
sure.
he's so good at talking
Yes.
and he's so calm and he doesn't like launch back and like insult to where it kind of exposes his insecurity. He kind of just keeps it all clean. And so and he kind of, he's good at like admitting a certain amount.
Yep.
You know what I mean? To make himself look humble. Like he's really good at this.
Now, he said this. He goes, I want to make clear that I waited to make sure
This
that I was not motivated by my decision with you and me by sexual relations with another person.
Yeah. So his whole thing was kind of like a Christian thing almost, where it was like, I didn't have actual sex.
Yes.
Therefore, you can't really say I cheated almost. Like that was the energy.
Or I wasn't tempted by the sexual relations. Like
blinded
I know
by
you
this.
and I aren't supposed to be together and I'm not blinded by the sexual piece of
Exactly.
it. And so that kind of hit too with the point where you and I were talking about like doing things for appearances.
Yes.
It was like, was he actually trying to be a good boyfriend to Taylor? No, he's trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
And to look a certain way.
Exactly.
And then he says, lastly, I do want to be a thoughtful person, so I apologized for what I put you through.
Yeah.
And I love that he said, I want to be a thoughtful person.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. So when they have their back and forth, this is where she's getting heated. And she's talking about how he made her feel when he's saying, baby, 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 you're trouble to Kay. And they're just, I mean, Mark ends up at one point interrupting because they're batting back and forth. He was just like, do you really think that we had a relationship going into this? It was doomed from the start. The way you treat me, da-da-da-da. You came in, you were saying all those things. You brought up bitch tendencies and then you complimented that guy and went in for a hug. Like, what was that about? It was doomed from the start. And it was. And they're going back and forth talking about that. And then we find out that she's like, I'm sorry, but you haven't had a job for a year.
Yes.
You haven't had a job for a year. And she talked about that at the beginning where she was like, when I met him, he was like this successful career guy.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I start
Pulled the
dating him.
switch up.
He pulled the switch. He's like, I want to be a model, no job for a year. So she's obviously floating their bills and all that pressure. And he was like, I wanted you to trust me through this to see that I have a vision. It was like, okay, you two, that's the thing. These two are just on such completely different pages. He wants to live, you know, this life where he's like, I'm used to the 9 to 5. I now want to venture, take risks, but I need you to trust me. But then on her side, it's like, how am I supposed to trust you when you haven't provided me a reason to trust you? As far as I know in our relationship so far, you cheated at me at the very beginning, and then you ditch your job, and now I'm floating everything.
Right.
So trust where? Vision where?
And this is like before the cheating, and ignore even all the cheating. This is where both of them could learn a lesson of like, hey, Tyler, you shouldn't have got right into a relationship with someone who is not a great fit right after your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And Taylor, you should have kind of realized like, hey, he cheated on me right away. He changed this. You should have been like, hey, you know, we're not on the same page. We need to break up.
We're not on the same page.
So the fact that you guys both kind of kept pushing and pursuing what clearly was not a good relationship for you guys, that's a good lesson just to take into your next relationships, take into your next
1,000%.
life, is like, stop trying to force something that clearly feels like they're not the right path.
Yes. And then when Mark interrupts and says this, Taylor, you might be thinking, I want you to grow and make money because you feel unsafe.
Yeah.
And Tyler, her encouraging you to do that makes you feel less than.
Yes.
And that was it.
That was it.
Mark.
Boom. Mark always nails
Mark
it. Duh.
actually, bam. And that's the thing. That's then when he was saying, yeah, I felt undervalued after my divorce. I felt all these things. And then she was saying, yeah, I feel unsafe and unstable from my past. I've had to be a survivalist.
Yeah.
And she starts crying and she's like, I don't want to make you feel worthless. Like, I loved you and I just wanted you. It hurt so much to see you falling in love with someone else because I just wanted you to fall in love with me. That was heartbreaking.
Right.
And she was like, I mean, it was rough.
Yeah.
Now, before they give their decisions, I did want to note this. At one point in their conversation, Taylor says, how's this relationship with Kay going to work, Tyler?
Mm-hmm.
You go from a 5-year marriage straight into 2.5 years with me, and now you're jumping straight into this and saying that you're falling in love. And she said, you need to be by yourself, but I know you won't. And Tyler, just chip on his shoulder, goes, thanks for the advice. I know you think you know me so well, My response to that is that I'm not riding off into the sunset with Kay. All right, Taylor?
Fast
So-
forward. I choose Kay to go home
I
with.
mean,
yeah, amazing.
Unbelievable for him to look at her and be like, thanks for the advice.
Yeah.
Shocker, you think you know me? You don't. I'm not running away with Kay. Decision time, Tyler says, I'd like to leave the
Yeah,
island
love
with
it.
Kay.
Love
I
it.
mean, are you absolutely joking me?
Nothing says stick it to him like doing exactly what they say you're gonna do.
And you know what? If I'm glad he did that because I think that it probably really validated Taylor.
oh yeah,
Taylor
yeah.
was like, I know he can't be alone, and this is part of the problem, that he's going to just jump into something else. Then he's like, you don't know me. And then she sees that he 2 seconds later does it. It's like, okay, I was on the right page with
Yeah.
what I thought he was going to do. So yeah, Taylor decides, she says, this has been a self journey and I choose myself. And she walks away and I'm so happy for her. And then, yeah, Tyler's like, I want to leave here with Kay. When they bring Kay out, I just wrote down, I said, this man is an actor.
oh yeah.
He is an actor. When he was sitting in the ITMs with Kay, and he's like, it's been a really hard day, but looking forward to see maybe where this goes with Kay. And he's walking away with her, and you hear him say, I'm excited to tell you about everything. I'm like, excited?
Oof, sounds horrible.
Yikes,
Who wants to
dude.
hear about any of that shit?
What is that about? Well, let's talk about
Yeah, what happened after?
what's happening currently. So, Taylor and Yemen, I looked this up. This was a couple weeks ago, so I don't know if anything's changed, but the most recent update I saw is that I guess Yemen did an interview, and in it he said that him and Taylor talk every day
Interesting.
and that they're very close. And when asked, is there anything there? It was like, we'll see. So
It's interesting though. I mean, they filmed this in like last summer probably.
I don't know.
So if it's
They
been
mi-
8 months, it'd
But
be
it might
interesting
be,
to know.
you know
like,
how I feel about a
or
friendship.
actually, maybe a year.
You know how I feel about a friendship first. It
Sure.
might be one of those things where it's like they have this really close friendship and, giving her time
Yeah.
to heal and process. Who knows?
You
I
never know.
hope.
I hope so,
I
too.
really liked them together.
I
They
know.
were very cute.
I know, very cute.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get to the juicy.
Tyler and Kay. This is dramatic. So, Tyler and Kay
Yeah.
join Natalie and Grant and stay in Hawaii for 2 days after filming.
Makes sense.
Okay, so they're that little
Yeah, that little
foursome,
foursome's perfect.
and then Kay and Tyler never see each other again after filming.
Whoa.
So they have their 2-day romp. They're done.
Wow.
Kay, during interviews, is very kind
Yeah.
and, polite about it and is like, hey, great guy. It just really didn't work out. We just weren't in the space. We had a good 2 days together. And she even said, we kissed and whatever, but it didn't go ever any further than that. And after those 2 days, we just cordially said adieu.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she says. Then Tyler goes on the Vial Files and says that his big issue is that Kay withheld important information from him about what she does for work. She is an OnlyFans creator. And exactly with what we kept fucking saying
there it
about
is.
Tyler, who's all about appearances.
Yeah.
Kay then later comes and says he thinks he has this moral high ground and it's about the way things look. So his whole thing is it's like, well, I don't know about being
Sure.
with an OnlyFans
Yeah,
creator.
yeah.
Now, after he says this, Kay then decides to come out and be like, all right, here's the real tea. I was trying to be kind about the situation and just leave it
Sure.
cordially because I thought we were cordial and good. But the fact that Tyler goes onto a podcast and then tries to diminish what I do and try to, shame me
Sure.
for what I do, well, here's the tea. So and again, I don't know confirmation if this is true, but this is what Kay said happened. She says that on the show, she never explicitly on camera talked about being an OnlyFans
Yeah.
creator because she wanted to keep that private, but that pretty much everyone in the villa knew what she did, and that early on during the show, when they were filming, that Tyler even came up to her and said, I heard that you make a lot of money with your job. So she's like, I was convinced that Tyler knew, and she does believe that Tyler knew what I did for work. So they go to the overnight dates. She tells him during the overnight dates, just, hey, full transparency, there are no cameras here. I am an OnlyFans creator. I just want you to know. His response is that I so appreciate you being open and transparent with me, blah, 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 blah. She says the rest of the night is a nightmare. She goes, it was our worst date. It was a horrible date because she said he spends hours trauma dumping about Taylor, talking shit on Taylor, processing it's only about him and Taylor. They end up getting in a fight. Go to bed frustrated at each other. You know, it's not going well. And then the next day he wakes up and he's like, I'm so sorry. I love you. I want to make this work, blah, 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 blah. Okay. She says at this point, she's off it. She's like, I'm done. But then when he calls her back in, it's a little bit like, hey, let's give this a try. But then those next 2 days, she says, are terrible. We're not into each other. Okay. Then he apparently goes back home and is trying to contact Taylor, and they're kind of like finalizing their like doneness.
Yep.
And he's talking shit on Kay.
Oh, wow.
Whilst continuing to reach out to Kay.
Right.
So what Kay's saying is that you're going to have the audacity to go.
Grant's dean of
exactly.
approval there.
He says you're going to have the audacity to go on a podcast and say, I withheld information from you, and that's why you ended it with me. But yet you knew at the overnights and then chose me at the bonfire. And then you continued to hit me up, but you're publicly saying that like she had an OnlyFans and so it just, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
She goes, full lies. And other asterisks. And again, this is allegedly, this is what Kay was saying, is that Tyler told her at the beginning that him and Taylor had agreed to go on Temptation Island, that they broke up before they ever went on the show, but they agreed to stay on the show, to keep filming the show together and go on, even though they were broken up. And Kay said, when I sat and watched the show and saw Taylor sobbing,
of course.
She said, I was shocked because I thought, I'm starting to
done
date
deal.
this new guy. They're playing it for the cameras. She's like, and then when I really saw Taylor and saw her sobbing, I knew that this was bullshit. And now Taylor and Kay are good and they're friends.
Oh, I love that Natalie and Ashley, the women are like, these guys are scumbags.
So Tyler's going around saying that that it was a lie, which please. We all saw Taylor, okay? If you guys weren't really together, that woman deserves an Academy Award for that acting, okay?
Oh my gosh, it was heart-wrenching.
Lies, okay? So that's what this guy's got going on.
That's also crazy just to like have that be like, it's one thing to like in your own personal feelings be like, hey, the OF thing is a deal breaker for me. I have my own opinions about that in general. Someone saying that, but I'm more just like in your own head. Let's say he's a super religious guy, and that's like
right. But to go
on a podcast and publicly say that's the issue without like her consent, without having it been like out and talked about, be like breaking news. She's an OF creator, so I'm not cool with that. It just is really what it does is it just says I liked her. And if it wasn't for the fact that she's this blank, I'd be cool with that.
Yep.
So it's really a shameful way to do it.
It's very telling.
It's not even like providing, it's very telling. It's very insecure. It's also just like not respectful on like, she hadn't said it on the podcast herself, the one before. And then he said, yeah, well, that was kind of a part of it. It was like he broke the news basically. And then...
Well,
and
again,
then said, that's why I broke it off.
She beforehand had kept everything really cordial.
Right.
And then she's like, unprovoked, he just drops that and is trying to shame her. And she's like, oh, he cares. And she, I believe she even said in one of her like videos that he just cares about appearances. And I was like,
big time.
We could smell it.
Obviously.
We could smell it.
He's such an appearance guy.
So, yeah.
Wow.
2 great guys in a row, everyone.
Just double scumbag square.
2 great guys. And now I guess he's dating someone who has like a huge Instagram following. So we all knew this man. He wants to get famous.
He wants to get famous.
He wants, I'm sure he's, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to make a prediction. Oh, I guess they filmed Perfect Match. maybe the upcoming Netflix reality shows. He's dating this person now who's a big Instagram influencer. If a perfect match type of show reached out to him, he'd break up and he'd go straight on that show.
Not even a question.
And then we'd hear from the ex being like, I found out the day before he left.
And he's like,
I thought we were still together. He's like, no, we've been done. The relationship's been on the way out.
He's trying to chase it. He's chasing fame. Scumbag vibes. Wow.
Yep. So
wow.
Those are my big T stories. Can you believe?
I mean, yes, unfortunately.
Yes, but we needed a reunion, everybody.
I know.
We needed a reunion. There was so much drama that happened after all of this. I'm really, really praying that season 2, they give us a reunion now that we saw how successful this series was.
I'm shocked they didn't do one. I mean, this show was like,
and Mark Wahlberg hosting a Temptation Island reunion. Please and thank you. He would crush a reunion.
Yeah, it's so interesting they didn't. Every show has them.
I think it's because it was season 1 on Netflix, so you just have to kind of make sure, like,
people are into it, sure.
And people love.
So good.
Season 2, please give us a reunion.
Oh my gosh,
please,
we have to, because we gotta see this all just like absolutely rip open live.
I want to see it all live. I need these men caught in their lies live.
Yes,
100%. Live reactions
called out with a host calling them out.
Yes. Okay, next let's talk about Breon and Shantae. Now, I know this one was when it aired, this one was the big rattler where everyone was like shocked, stunned, frustrated. But I think now we want to talk about the other Grant and Ashley and then Tyler and Taylor before, just because they've had all this stuff that's gone down. But in the moment, this was the big one for everybody, because everyone was quite shocked with the outcome. I mean, you were calling it from day one.
Yeah,
after the last 2 episodes, I was like, I think I know which direction this is going in. But okay, so they both then decide to take 2 people on their dates. Breon asks Amaya if she'll go on the date with him, and these 2 have now developed kind of a friendship.
And she's like, I'll go on the date with you as long as you're kind of keeping the same energy of humility.
Yeah. Well, she says, she's like, I feel like you're growing and we're growing as friends, so I'll agree to go on the date with you. And this is post a conversation where he was telling Amaya, he's like, wow, Shantae, she hasn't been flirting at all. She was just talking about how wonderful I am. I fucked this up. I'm a dick. And he's like, I'm fighting for this relationship now. She's a great woman. She doesn't need me. I need her. As this is happening, I'm literally like typing, whomst is this man? Right. Well, the energy shift was wild.
Well, I think he kind of, a little bit like ran out of options. I think if the fact that if Amaya hadn't shut him down, if Angel hadn't like wrecked him on that date, I think that I would love to have seen if he would have had more options for threesomes, more options for girls liking him. But the fact that everyone kind of like called him out and then was like, that's shitty. I think it left him kind of being like, I only have one other option. Either I fight and say, fuck everyone, or I do the humble move. Because I do believe he had some humble making moments, but I also do believe that he has chameleon energy and he kind of adapts to the situation and he goes, what's going to work for me?
See, I don't think that he would have hooked up with anybody else. I do think that he
literally after the threesome said, let's see if we can get the other 2 going.
I know, but then, well, I guess.
And then all of a sudden he's like, when the whole thing, when everyone kind of started going against him, he's all of a sudden like, I actually don't need threesomes.
No, but you know what it is? He wanted a threesome with 2 different women.
Yes. He
didn't want to have a threesome again with Courtney and Alex because he's like, I did that already. Exactly. And he didn't want to get intimate with anybody. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. I guess, you're right. If someone new came in, a brand new person came in, if he would have had options. But I do think that he, at the same time, the realization hit him that it was like, oh shit, I could actually lose Shantae, hit him a little bit. And I think he was so confident going in before that there's no way she'd walk away. And I think he had a moment of fear at the last bonfire, like, oh, she might walk away. And that's why I don't think he would have hooked up with anybody else. Not because he wouldn't want to, but because it was like, oh no, I am actually potentially going to lose Shantae.
Okay. Got it.
That's what the vibe I was getting. Now, So Amaya and him end up going on this date, and he the entire time, though, like I was saying, I'm still getting the whomst is this man energy
Right.
because I swear his energy like shifted,
Right.
where he then was like buddy with Amaya. He's like sleeping on the floor. It did not feel. Imagine they just have sex.
Right. I love
Imagine
that.
he's just like, I'm gonna be good and show Shantae, and then all of a sudden it's just like boom, cut to them, they're having
Love
sex. But there was very friend energy. He was like, I'm going to prove to Shantae right now that I can handle this, that I'm not going to blow this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shantae is with Hashim, and obviously that's very much friend energy. But Hashim was being wonderful,
Yeah.
where he was like conversationally really encouraging her. Like he wasn't pushing her, but it was like, okay, like let's remember that what he did and maybe what's best for you, but I'm going to support you through anything and any choice that you make. So then when they get to the bonfire, she looks like a goddess, first of all. She looked incredible. They hug.
Mm-hmm.
Right away, he's like, I'm so sorry, and starts crying. What I found interesting is through this whole bonfire, we see Shantae not shed a tear. This is high stress. He's crying. She's not shedding a tear. We've talked through these past few episodes with Shantae where people are like, what? Like, why isn't she more frustrated or whatever? We see her saying goodbye to all the women and all the men, and she's like bawling.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm deciphering is that in moments of stress, that Shantae, that's like the wall and the boundary that she puts up.
Yeah.
So Shantae is actually seems like this very sensitive person, but in order to protect herself in these situations. So I think maybe that's why as an audience, we're not
Sure.
maybe seeing those certain things, but it's like she's protecting herself in this situation. So when Mark has them both speak, Shantae is like, hey, I brought you here to prove that you could have platonic friendships with women.
Yeah. And he literally like started the whole thing off with just like, can't wait to have threesomes.
It was just so interesting to hear that, like, from her perspective, they went into this with him trying to prove that he can have platonic friendships with women. And in his mind, he was like, this is the video game where I get to
Yeah.
do whatever I want because it's not real life. And I get to
Exactly.
have these threesomes and live out these fantasies. It's like, you guys were on very different
different
pages.
terms.
But let's be real. They were on the quote unquote same page. And then Breon just decided to
Sure,
do whatever he wanted
course.
to do. Now, when he speaks, he's apologizing.
Mm-hmm.
He's fully in, he's crying. He's like, the man that I was before was fake. I was surface level as a boyfriend. He talks about like his abuse and that he uses women to fill that love. He's not worthy of her. And it's hard to say.
Poetic, beautiful. He's saying all the right
He
things.
wants to show her what a good man he can be. Very apologetic.
Very
There's
apologetic.
no like, well, I don't regret this. Now all of a sudden he's like, I have remorse.
Pulling out all the stops.
We even saw in ITMs where he's like, I actually have remorse now. Like it's actually hit me because I'm scared that I'm going to lose her,
Sure.
and I have remorse now. So when they're then having their dialogue together, he was just like, the only thing that went down was the threesome. It wasn't more than that. And he said, Amaya's a good Christian woman that helped me work through stuff. And her last words to me were, you've really grown. This is a man that she can be proud of. And I hope she offers you some grace. And I was like, Breon,
Weird thing to do to bring up
That's
like
the-
another woman's like opinion of you and use it to get your girl to chill out.
also saying
is
she's a
wild.
good Christian woman. You saw Shantae's face because you know that Breon cares about
course.
that. So it's the fact that he brought that up, that she helped him through. But then at the end part where he says, and Amaya said that she hopes that you offer me grace. I was like, that's the part that you leave out, Breon. Sure, Amaya said that to you, but that's the part you leave
Yo,
out.
I was talking to this girl and she told me you should forgive me.
And she hopes that you show me grace.
Yeah. So like if there's any proof there.
So there were these moments where he's being super apologetic and owning up to everything. But at the same time, we're getting in these little hints of like, by the way,
should
like
probably forgive me.
she thinks that like you should forgive me. And
And then he says the thing where he's like, come on, you know that like all this threesomes, all me doing all this, that's just the show. Like it's just because we're here. I wouldn't never do this to you outside of the show. You know how it is. It's Shantae all day, 100% when we're out of this thing. He keeps doing this weird thing where he's like, this doesn't count. This doesn't count. That's kind of the way he looked at this whole thing, was like, this is just a fun experiment. It doesn't count towards real life.
well, and that's the thing. When when they're wrapping up right before the decisions, Shantae's like, I'm realizing that I've always put people before myself in every situation.
Right.
And I'm learning that I need to start putting myself first. And yes, Brian is fully at this moment owning up to the fact that he didn't know what love was because of the first 17 years of his life. And he needs to start, and that he's got a lot to deal with. So he's owning all these things. And the thing that's so hard, and this is where my heart really hurt for Shantae, and I know the audience was really mad, but I'm like, it's so obvious that she's so in love with this man. And what he's doing in this moment, and she even says it, she goes, he's finally giving me what I want.
Right.
I've been aching for this for years from him, for him to be emotionally vulnerable. And for the first time ever, he's looking me in the eyes and he's crying and he's telling me that he's got a lot that he needs to work on and that he's not worthy of me. So what a mind fuck that would be, to be like, I've loved this man for years.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, it wouldn't feel, if you, like, let's be real, everybody, if you were in Shantae's position, it wouldn't feel like an act, because you're like, for the past 2 years, this man hasn't been putting on an act. He's been doing whatever the fuck he wants. And now for the first time, he's giving me what I want. So that's then what made her, it almost felt like when she went in, I got the energy from her where I was like, she might end this and walk away alone. Because even when we get to decision time, Brian's like, obviously I want to leave with Shantae. And Shantae takes a moment alone, and then she comes back and she goes, you know, I think through all of this, like, I've been wanting to see this change and shift in you, but like, I think what's best for me is to, you know, maybe what we could do is see if you continue to grow and maybe go from there, but I need to choose me in the circumstance. So you're getting the vibe that she was going to walk away alone. But then what you said exactly, where then Brian was like, babe, you know me. This isn't real life. Back at home, this is never a problem. Please. Yeah. Why are you here then?
Yeah.
If this wasn't a problem back home, why does your girlfriend want to bring you here to see if you could have a platonic relationship with a woman?
He then pulls out sad dog puppy vibes.
Yes.
And then she folds immediately and does the like looks at him and she's like, no, but it's just, we still can, and it's gonna be fine. And then and then we're gonna leave together. So it took very little for him to kind of get her to come back. All it took was just a little bit of humility and then kind of a, come on, babe.
And it
then
was
she
so frustrating the way that he framed it then.
Yeah.
When he was like, you came in so confident that I wasn't going to cross a boundary because you know how I am. So then he twisted it where it's like, hey, the reason you're confident isn't because you're a woman who wants to be with me and has very loyal tendencies. It's because I've always been good outside of here. Please.
Yeah,
Please.
It's interesting. I kind of sat and thought about this, and just as like a wrap up concept, I thought maybe, you know, to most people, it's foreign to kind of go, oh, this person cheats on me, to keep coming back, and that's okay, right? But I wonder if there's like this thing where it's like, you know, you have certain friends that you love, but they're kind of not great friends.
Yeah.
But you kind of put up with their bad behavior because the thought of never being friends again hurts too much. Like you're like, I'd rather have 2 or 3 great times with them and the occasional them do something shitty to me or talk shit on me, whatever, because I just like the friendship so much or I get so much out of it.
Yeah.
And you just kind of make that trade-off, even if it's slightly unhealthy. It's like, you know, it's almost like just like cookies or something. You're like, this is bad for me, but it provides a little bit of like love of life that like maybe I just am willing to trade out.
Yeah.
Maybe Brian and Shantae have a little bit of that. Maybe Shantae's a little bit like, do I know it's not great for me? Yeah. Is there unhealthiness to this relationship? Yeah. Can I trust him all the way? No. But do I love him enough? Love being around him enough? Does he give me enough of something?
Yeah.
To where I'm just willing to make that 80-20 trade. Like a little lack of loyalty, little toxicity. I'm just saying, I'm trying to look at this from like because we can all easily jump to the like, they're fucking crazy. She's insane for not taking him. He's a bad guy. But I'm going, maybe just for some people, the fact that she's not like heave crying about everything, the fact that she was able to take it, maybe for her, his proclivities and problems aren't her biggest problem. and she's able to kind of go, you know what, I'm willing to kind of put up with the occasional issue with this
Yeah.
for our relationship. I like being around him. Yes. Is it hard to explain to other people? Yes. Is it hard to justify? But maybe this is just who I am, and I kind of am willing to kind of deal with 20% of these issues in order
Yes.
to, you know what I mean? I don't know.
100% that could be the case. The other thing that I'll stand by,
seems like that's
but the
the
other
vibe.
thing that I'll stand by too is what I brought up in the last episode, where I'm like, when you're in a relationship like this for a long time, where someone is toxic and they are manipulating you and putting you in these situations where you're not feeling worthy. I mean, there is a lot of trauma to heal from.
Yeah.
So then when all of a sudden that person that you're like finally feeling like you're about to finally move away from them comes back and for the first time ever gives you everything you want, of course it would be so challenging to not try to see through it
Yeah.
and go, this isn't a breakthrough, or maybe it is, but he needs to spend a long time
Yeah.
proving it to me, or this actually isn't a breakthrough. It's because he doesn't want to.
he's
doesn't want
on
to
edge.
lose
Of course,
me.
he's giving you everything you want because
he wants
he's
something.
Caught,
He
he's
wants
nervous,
me.
Whatever. Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
So
this is the best you're ever gonna get, Brianne.
I mean, I hope not, but
But I'm just saying,
yeah,
you know, in the heat of begging for you back, that's when
Yes.
everyone's the best.
Of course.
So, you know.
But when you're not used to that,
Sure,
and you've
it's
spent
shocking.
a few years being treated not well,
Right.
and then all of a sudden it's like I'm begging for you and I've changed. Of
Yeah.
course, it's gonna
gonna
do
feel
a
great,
number.
yeah.
Well, it's gonna do a number on you where you're like, well,
Yeah.
shit, I thought I knew, but is this person who I've loved for so long really changing?
Yeah.
So ultimately, she says that she's going to leave the island with Brian. He
Yeah.
convinces her. I wish she would have left with stipulations instead of just saying,
It just doesn't matter though.
but I'm saying I wish at least for her that there would have been a moment where when she said, I'm leaving the island with you,
Yeah.
but
It doesn't matter because she did that 2 seconds ago and then bent and then
But there
immediately said,
weren't
"We're gonna
really
go home."
stipulations. I mean, stipulations in the sense of like, I'll leave the island with you, but I'm not your girlfriend right now. I'll leave the island with you because I don't want us to walk away from this completely. I want us to talk. I need time to process what you're saying, and I need time for you to prove that you've actually changed. I'm not your girlfriend, but I will leave with you, and just put maybe something like that more out there. But him, when they're walking away, I was laughing so hard when he all of a sudden he like leans in and whispers to her. He goes, I'll go to therapy. I'll find a therapist. It's like,
It was just like any extra like toppings you want on your pizza, you know?
yes. Now, updates. So, Brian and Shantae, they filmed this a hot minute ago, and for a while, these two stayed together. We don't have a lot of information about them because they've stayed, I think, quite out of the limelight and interviews and everything because people were very vocally upset about their relationship. But a couple weeks ago, Shantae posted on Instagram and she said, I have nothing but love for Brian, but I have ended the relationship.
Wow.
And so Shantae has stepped away.
Wow.
And you know what? Listen, I hope that Brian is going to that therapy still. I hope that Brian is
I hope
learning.
Brian starts a threesome clinic. Like honestly, I hope he starts a resort that's just for threesomes.
resorts.
So that he doesn't have to live, a lie anymore. He doesn't have to cheat anymore. He doesn't have to
threesome-
call it just,
threesome-
three's a company.
So some sort of threesome cruise line. But I genuinely really hope, because of, again, all the trauma that we heard that he went through, like I
Yeah.
really, really hope that
Like,
he
time
has,
to be yourself.
there's a lot that he needs to work
Yes.
out. And I really hope that for him.
It's a Christian cruise line for threesomes.
Christian cruise.
Because he loved Christians and Christianity, but he also loves
But he
not
loves a
living by the
threesome.
classic archetypes of them. So he needs to start an alternative swinger threesome Christian cruise.
Not a bad idea. But Shantae walked away.
Good.
And, I just have to say, I just so much love to her. She
Yeah.
obviously is an incredible partner to somebody that she
Yeah.
finds that maybe she takes time for herself and then is able to find that right person. But I think we saw that perhaps Shantae is just someone who needs more time to process. And again, it clearly didn't seem like she was the one who wanted to go on this show.
Right.
And she wasn't like sitting in front of the cameras being like, this is my moment. So all of a sudden the overwhelmingness of this experience, maybe when all of the drama and intensity of this was wrapping, it's like, okay, I'm going to make a quick just decision. But over time, I've made my own,
Yeah.
I've processed it on my own.
Yeah.
And we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
So they are no
All
more.
right.
Okay. our final couple
I don't even think we need to
is
review them. They got engaged. Yay! Nothing happened. They said we love you so much. And then,
I do want to say a few things
Yeah.
about Lino and Alexa. So they end up having their final dates, right? So Alexa chooses Gio to go on the final date with, and Lino asks Nikki, who we don't really know anything about, to go on
last
the
girl he's
final
hit
date.
on, be like, will you make out with me? No, okay, cool. Let's
But-
go on a date.
I have to say, obviously last episode I was like, would Lino withstand temptation
Yeah.
if it was really offered to him? I did have to say shout out to Lino. I was surprised that he didn't choose Alex to go on the final date
Sure,
with.
one last push.
And I thought that was very impressive
Yeah.
and noteworthy. And I wanted to give him a shout out for
Okay.
that because I was coming for him before being like, would he have withstood temptation if Alex would have actually
Dude,
been into
Alex,
it?
like,
But he's
shut
still,
him down so many times. He's probably just like, I guess that's
but I'm saying he's still, but he didn't seem like
Sure.
he was noticing it.
Yeah, that's true.
So the fact that he didn't even try to have like a final temptation moment showed me, I was like, okay, nice work, Lino.
Yeah.
But he takes Nikki with him and he goes, Nikki, you're great. I thought maybe you could go ring shopping with me.
Like, thanks. This is
So
great.
Lino takes Nikki engagement ring shopping for Alexa and then cuts to them sitting clearly very late at night at a table. He's writing out a love letter proposal to Alexa,
She's like,
workshopping
"Put me out
it
of my
with Nikki.
misery."
I was like,
Her
I felt
eyes are
so
glazed
bad.
over. She's so over this. And the same thing goes with Gio and Alexa. It's like they're sitting there and he's just like, they have a half a glass of wine left. And he goes, like, she's been talking to him about Lino the whole time.
Yeah.
And their issue. And he goes, yeah, totally. It's crazy. And then he goes, all right, one more drink. We drink the whole thing. And she's like, oh, the whole thing. And he goes, he chugs
And
the
he goes,
wine.
"Let's go to
and
bed."
Let's go to bed. Like him, this is hell.
It's like, I
didn't come here to listen to people complain about their exes and then get back together with them. I came here to at least have an option. This whole friend thing has been taken too far. We're not that close. Okay. We're not 10 years into this friendship where you can tell me I got to get out of here. Like, please God, put me out of my misery.
I just felt so bad for Nikki because we haven't seen them actually even in the villa together. So I'm like, I don't think that Lino and Nikki are that close. And to
No.
be somebody who clearly is like down to get into a relationship. So I'm going on this like singles reality TV show and I'm stuck picking out an engagement ring and
my God,
workshopping a proposal love letter for someone I don't know. Like, it's not like it's like, oh, it's my friend and I'm helping.
I would have declined. I would have said, no, I'm not going to go on this date. I'm going to stay here and chill by the pool.
It's just more like, is it loving and sweet? Yes, but at the same time, I was just thinking about this woman who was hoping to maybe make a connection with someone
Yes.
and is instead kept up till the wee hours hearing about how amazing
Brutal.
another woman is. And it's just like, okay. And at one point she goes, he's trying to workshop it. And she goes, honestly, like you could write
whatever.
She
It's
goes,
fine.
you could write gibberish
Yeah.
and she'll be so happy. It doesn't even matter.
Like,
Can we be done?
Can we just go to
be
bed?
done?
I'm so tired. I want to.
So when they end up getting to their final bonfire, I mean, they immediately kiss.
Yeah.
They're like, I missed you. I loved you. But Alexa, the first thing that she says to him, like, she's direct.
Yeah.
She's like, my love for you has grown way more. She talks about releasing that guilt and appreciating him. But she's also like, if you can't move on and you keep holding this over my head, like, I have to walk away. And then she says, I don't need you in my life, but I want you in my life. And I thought about it. I'm like, that was always what I said to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the place that I had to get to for me to have a healthy relationship, because I was really codependent in so many ways that I was like, I had to get to a place where I was like, okay, I don't need Evan,
Right.
but I really want him in my life.
Right.
And Lino, he was like, I came with resentment, trust issues, but I realized they were deep rooted in myself and I projected them onto you. And he apologizes.
Yeah.
The fact that Grant and Tyler, who cheated on their girlfriends, don't apologize and Lino apologizes, sent me. This
Epic.
man was like, I held on to resentment. I projected it onto you and I am so sorry. And I was like, you guys just take a note for 2 seconds. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You just own up. I could not believe that he apologized and Grant and Tyler did it.
Yeah. It's epic.
That's wild, dude. That is absolutely wild. Her only thing is that she wanted to make sure, she's like, I just need to check in. Like, did you really withhold temptation? Was there anything that happened? And he was like, he was really close with me and Alex, but
Tough.
she was playing with the straw like you wouldn't believe. But I said no.
I'm sure they had a little bit of a conversation after watching the show, being like,
Yeah,
you
probably.
didn't really have an
Probably a little
option.
bit. But obviously, they leave together. He proposes. They set up this whole beautiful thing for them. She's sobbing.
Yeah.
And guess what, everybody? They're still together. They are still happily together.
Congrats, guys. Congrats.
Congrats to them.
Shouldn't have been on the show in the first place. Congrats. Pointless. Love you all, but
They
pointless.
really both grew, though,
They
a
did,
lot.
but they did not need to go on the show. I mean, there's a little bit of like everyone else was built for the show. They were a little both kind of like, well, I don't know why we're here, but
I don't know, Evan.
what?
You know
guys
what,
are
Evan?
lovely. We love it.
I'm just gonna have to like very much disagree with you because I know I kept saying you guys get off the show. It's just like too stressful. But I think about their energy walking in.
Yeah.
And I remember said, I'm like, I don't think she likes him. I think that I did not think that they were gonna last. I thought they were gonna be some of the ones to end. Their energy going on the show versus how they felt about each other leaving, I felt very different. So
Well-
I think actually the show was very beneficial.
What a show, man. So
I
good.
mean, it is so fantastic.
I can't wait to talk to Mark.
Okay, yes, family. Next week, tune in.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg will be in the building Wednesday. We are going to be chatting with him about all things. I have a lot of questions about just the
me too.
process of Temptation Island, all these things, and also just relationship things
Yeah.
in general. I always just want to pick his brain and get his wisdom. So
Agreed.
tune in next week on Wednesday to get that Mark Wahlberg episode.
Yes.
And we love you, family. Have a
Love
beautiful
you.
weekend.
Mwah.
Bye.
see ya.
You're not gonna tempt me. You're not gonna forget me. I never know what that second word.
Yeah.
Bye, family.
Bye.